Statesman Nation, here with Coach Todd Hafner as we're going to review and recap the entire 2016 season. I haven't talked to you in a while, that's why I wanted to bring you back in. We now that the season's over and we can talk about this and laugh about it, but there was a little superstition on his part. We started winning, and it was all with talking with assistant coaches for the weekly preview, so we kept rolling. That's why we eventually got down to a student coach for the final week. So we haven't talked to you in a while, haven't put you in front of the camera, have an opportunity for you to talk about your program, so figured this would be the best time of any. So yeah, I mean, a great season again. You guys, I think, surpassed definitely, I think, your own expectations, but a lot of people's expectations, considering this was supposed to be a rebuilding year.
Yeah, I think that, you know, not a lot of the credit, all the credit goes to our kids. I mean, you know, you look back to week 4 when we played Central Methodist, and, you know, what a game that was. I mean, it was right down to the wire. We finally broke it out in the end, and it was like a big weight was lifted off of us. You know, our kids are used to winning, and you know, anytime you get to a point where you've lost a few in a row, you start to question yourselves a little bit. And but once they got going and got the weight lifted off, they really relaxed and enjoyed the process of the week to week. And you know, everyone talks about, well, if you win the last game, you're in the playoffs. Man, we've been in the playoffs since week 4 now.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You know, so our kids really enjoyed the ride. It was fun for us as coaches to be able to know going into the week that our kids were going to be into it. They were going to practice hard. They were going to be ready to go, and what a ride they took us on. We were just part of it. So really proud of what they did.
Yeah, and so many of those games. I mean, you can take off a few of them. Culver Stockton and Avila were a little lopsided, but almost every single one of those games came down to just a gut check at the end, where you guys had to come up with a big play on defense or offense or whatever to pull it out. And as the year went on, I kept saying, didn't want to jinx you guys, but kept thinking that this is kind of a team of destiny thing here. When you start winning close games, you start thinking, it doesn't matter what situation we're put in, if it's somewhat close in the final 15 minutes, we have a chance.
We're going to win.
That's what we got.
And that's finally where our kids got too. You know, there was never any panic. You know, even last week against Grandview, you know, our kids always thought that somebody was going to make a play. And you know, you think back to all those games, you know, what it took. You know, our kids had a long season. Our kids that played had a long season. I think we were talking about it the other day that our starters on offense and defense sat out for 1 quarter of the year. And that was the last quarter against Avila. You know, even against Culver Stockton, it was always close enough that we never felt like it was the right time to take our older kids out, our starters out. And so, you know, they're playing through some pain and some some bumps and bruises. And so again, it just goes back to them having confidence in each other, knowing that somebody was going to make a play, and for 7 weeks in a row somebody did. And so it's just one of those things that it's just a special group of players. And unfortunately, you know, the majority of those players are coming back, and you know, what they went through this year is only going to make us better in the future.
Yeah, and I was going to point to that is, you know, sometimes you could say, well, that's an unfortunate thing that you have to play your starters all the time. Looking towards the future, your second and third string guys never get a chance to get in. But the fact remains that all of these guys that were starting are going to be back. Almost everybody's back, so that's great.
It is.
This was their year to, just further develop themselves, because it's not like their road is over. So yeah, it's still unfortunate for the second and third string guys that would have liked to have proven themselves and gotten some seasoning, but so many guys do come back.
Well, and unfortunate as it is, we actually had some injuries this year where some of our young guys, that wasn't in mop-up situation. They had to go in and help us win a game, and so yes, even better with that. And I think that, and I think those young kids proved to us that they are good and that they can get it done. Going back to Central Methodist, we look out there, we had 5 freshmen on the field on defense at crunch time. And so they were making plays. And so offensively, it was obvious. I mean, we didn't start anybody more than a sophomore on the offensive line, and so the future is bright. And fortunately for us, they learned a lot. And maybe the most important thing that they learned was that given any situation, if you stick together, you can win a game. And I think that's the most important thing they learned.
Yeah, definitely. Looking towards the future now, you guys will definitely be active on the recruiting trail just because you have all of these guys coming back. Again, doesn't mean that somebody won't, whatever reason, won't be back in the team next year, or that they won't be as good potentially. It doesn't mean just because you're a year older you're going to be suddenly that much better. So you still have to look at continuing to improve your team in whatever way. I mean, especially if you get an injury, got to look at that second string. So hopefully, so again, just coming back to the recruiting trail is going to be hit hard as always.
No question, and we're already there.
Yeah.
And so. We already have some trips planned. All the coaches are on the phone. We're watching film. We're trying to evaluate talent in Iowa. We really want to try and do a better job of recruiting the state of Iowa and getting the talent. Instead of those kids going to other places, we want those kids to start coming here, and we're going to do a better job of getting out and making sure that we're doing our part. But it's recruiting is a never-ending process because of exactly what you say. For various reasons, sometimes kids leave. We've had some kids get some injuries this year that we don't know if they're gonna be 100% when the season starts next year. And so recruiting is part of what we do, and our kids understand that. We matter of fact, we ask our kids to be part of the process. When we bring someone on campus, we're going to want you to talk to them. We're going to put you on a player panel. We're going to do some things, and we're going to expect you to help us get kids here. And so I think that by doing that, they take some ownership in it. And when those kids do sign, they take a lot of pride in it. That they played a part in getting those kids to come here. And so we're only going to continue to be as good as our recruiting classes, and so far we feel good about where we're at.
Yeah, and there's no question. This is just the mission of the school to begin with, but you guys are going to comb every. You're gonna turn over every rock out there. It doesn't matter if it's Iowa kids, and obviously you'd love to get in-state kids, but the truth is there's 30 other schools you guys are fighting with, so it's really difficult. And Iowa's not Texas or California or Florida is a hotbed for talent. There's just only so many kids, and they get spread out. So if you can get a handful, awesome.
And that's what we're going to try and do. We're trying to get the best ones we can get.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And a good positive out of. And I'm sure you'll be jumping Coach Jenkins and the Indians.
Oh, no doubt about that.
There. Come off a great year. Those kids proved a lot, and they showed that if they're that they wanted to work hard, and that's exactly the type of kid I'm sure you guys are looking for.
Well, and the thing about what Jake has done out there is he's changed the culture.
Yeah.
And it's not to discredit what coaches before him have done, but Jake brought just a different energy. Yeah. And his whole coaching staff, having watched them play was just different. Yeah. And the kids were different, and I think you can see that. And they have some very talented football players, and we're hoping that. We hope they all come.
Yeah.
But you know how that goes. Yeah. But Jake's done a great job. Very proud of what he did at Oski High this year, and it's even better that he's a William Penn alum.
Exactly. All right, Coach. Well, one final thing. Talk about those seniors. Again, we didn't have a huge senior class as compared to past seasons, but there's going to be a lot of individuals you're going to miss, and that are definitely going to be hard to replace. But here's your chance to.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've said this 2 or 3 times, and I almost get emotional every time. I think I might be past that right now. I've talked about it so much, but what a great job they did. I mean, you look at a guy like Hunter Berry, who's been here for 5 years, and Desmond Douglas, who's been here for 5 years, and the guys like Antonio Brown, who transferred in, and it's just John Ward, who's been here for 5 years. I mean, those guys just seem like they've been here forever. They're all going to graduate. Mm-hmm. They're all great young men. They're going to be very successful in what they do. And names keep popping. Van Parker. I mean, he stepped in and basically saved us. Yeah. With his play at quarterback. From being a receiver, and so there's 6 or 7 more that I'm not mentioning, but it's just one of those things where they weren't very big in number, but they played a huge role in what we did because of their demeanor. They were great leaders. They did a great job, they did a great job of preparing, which showed our younger kids how to prepare.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what we're going to miss from them is all the you know, the things that you don't talk about or you don't coach, the intangible things. And so we're very proud of what they accomplished. We're super excited for them that their senior season, they're going to walk out of here with a championship, and they're going to have a ring that has 2016 on it, and I'm so excited for them and their futures because they're all going to be very successful.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for sitting down for a few minutes with us, getting an opportunity to finally recap the season. It was an awesome season, fun to watch. A lot of nail biters out there that came our way, fortunately, and in the end, like you said, conference champions, and nobody's taking that away.
Ever.
Exactly.
No one's taking that
that's
away.
always going to be there.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck in the recruiting and all of that, and retention of the great players we have, and keep it rolling for next year.
All right. We will. Thank you very
All right,
much.
Thanks.
Yep.